Hey there everyone, it's Val, and welcome back to Tolkiencraft II, The Labors of Valentine. And I just realized the deer has his rear to the camera. Sorry about that. I was trying to avoid showing one of the things I've been working on today. Darn it. Alrighty. So this is the summoning area for blood magic. And I set the whole thing up, even though technically to do the quest in the quest book I really only needed to set up the inner part. And that quest was this one, to make the Archmage's Blood Orb. And I did do that. And, well, it went pretty good. I probably should have saved one for showing. I didn't even think of it. Well, I'll describe what I did, and perhaps if there's another time when I summon something more exciting than a water elemental, I will try to remember to do a highlight of that. Anyway, to summon the water elemental, you put your Archmage's Orb in the center here, whichever one you're using, and then you would put Aqua Salis? Let me look up the name here. There it is, Aqua Salis. You make that in the alchemical chemistry set, and you need 6 pieces because you put one on each one of these inner plinths. Then lightning hits each one of those, and then poof, the little water elemental shows up, and I guess I can actually show you what the water elemental looks like because I killed it, if I can find it. There it is. Behold, a water elemental named Val. I always wanted to be a little ball of water. Anyway, you have to kill them when the weakness debuff is on them. And as someone in chat pointed out, you can actually kill them with something that has looting on it to give you a higher chance of getting the item that you need. But you have to kill them when the weakness debuff is on them, and the easiest way to get the weakness debuff on them is to use a bound blade, which has been activated. So, shift, right click, it's activated. Smack the water elemental while you see the little gray particles coming off him. Smack him with something with looting on it, and if you're lucky, you'll get one of these. And, yeah, I killed 4 of them getting nothing before someone in chat pointed out. I think that was Hikar, but I could be wrong. Could have been Dehasnan. I apologize. I can't look back in chat at this precise moment to get the right name, but I am appreciative. Even if I am forgetful. But yeah, and then when I actually did that procedure, hitting it with the bound blade and then the draconic sword to kill it with the looting on it, I actually got one from each of the last 2 that I killed. So yeah, I highly recommend hitting it with something with looting on. Definitely made a difference. Alright, so I think I'll turn back into myself just because, well, that's not how I do it. There we are. Just so I don't suffocate myself, as has been known to happen with bats. I suspect the same might hold true for a water elemental. Right, so what else did I do? Oh yes. Since the witches, as I watched them for a while, and I discovered they keep themselves healed up. They don't actually die once they're spawned. So I took 8 name tags and I named my witches. So you can see we have Wichita, Witch to You, and Witchy Woo, and names like that. Because I was tired and not feeling very inventive. But anyway, I named 8 of them, and there are still 8 of them in here. So none of them actually have died. They have been healing themselves. And that's perfect because I don't have to leave this on, and I don't have to worry about overpopulating the server and causing lag due to an overabundance of witches. And according to Hikar in chat, you can also get weakness for killing your elementals by using the ranged blood magic weapon. I think Energy Blast or something like that. So that's another thing that you can make. It just has to be an item with weakness on it that puts weak. As long as the elemental dies with weakness on them, you have a chance of getting the blood shard. Basically is what it boils down to. So whatever item it is that you use, as long as the weakness effect is on, you're good. Let's see. What else was on my list? Yes, we worked on the AE system. I actually got the basic crafting set up, and I also created an ME chest, so I can actually see what is on things. So if I grab one of these that has a little something on it, so like this one for example, I can throw it. Oops. You have to throw it inside, and this is a change from the old one. You have to close it, and then you have to click on the top in order to see what's in there. And why won't you be an example? What's wrong with you? I can't possibly be out of energy. I don't believe you. What's your issue? Are you disconnected? Hang on here. You've been I put a full thing on you. That's what the problem is. Aha. Okay. There we go. Alright, as I was saying, you can see the top there changed. And now you can look and see what's actually on that particular card. And I find that very useful when I get around to organizing things. And I will do that someday, but not today. Dang it. Alright, I'll fix that later. And downstairs, and the reason that I did this was I wanted to set these all on the floor because now we have an ME interface terminal and an ME pattern terminal. The ME pattern terminal is what you use to create your the patterns for the various things that you want to make. So for example, I haven't done one yet for a piston. So let's go ahead and make a piston one. And I like this, the new pattern terminal, because the old one you had to take all the pieces with you to the terminal and put them in. Whereas this one, it just pulls the samples from within here, and that is awesome. So all you have to do is hit that. Now you have an encoded pattern. There's actually two different types of patterns. There's crafting patterns and processing patterns. The difference between a crafting pattern and a processing pattern is that a crafting pattern is a shapeless recipe or a shaped recipe that you can get by going to NEI and shift clicking and bringing it up. A processing pattern is what I like to call a magical pattern, because it's like, okay, you take this item and a piece of magic occurs and you get this item as the result. It's not actually a recipe per se. So for example, a pulverizer, if you put a piece of sand in, magic occurs. Or so not sand, you put gravel in, cobblestone, you put cobblestone in, magic occurs, and you get a piece of sand out. And because it's the processing of a machine that makes it, that's what makes it a processing pattern as opposed to a crafting pattern. And so now they actually have names for them. And they can have up to 3 outputs. But each of these outputs has to be 100% chance of occurring. So you wouldn't want to say, well, if you process a piece of cobble, you get sand and you get gravel. Because yes, you always get sand 100%, gravel you do not. So you wouldn't want to put that in there as one of the outputs. But anyway, so processing patterns for use with machines. Crafting patterns, those are for use when you're doing regular crafting. Now, I've got 5 of these in here, and I'll show you downstairs where they're actually hooked up. But the fact that you now have an interface terminal where you can look at them all is wonderful. I do really like that. Didn't have that before, and I think it's awesome. So if we put it here, we can put it in and take it out here, but we can also go downstairs where the actual machinery lives, And we can also play with it down there. So, actually, let me just go up one. You can see the blue power lines, the dense cables coming down from the ME thing, because they're all part of the same network. ME controller. So that's where the power and control is coming from. Let's go downstairs. And it comes down here. And you need the smart cables because that's how you attach things to the dense ones. Can't attach them directly. So I've set up two crafting computers with two 4K units in it and two crafting coprocessors for each one. I could have put them all together as one crafting unit, but it made sense to me to have two because then I can have two different operations going on at the same time. Ask it to make sand and ask it to make something else, and it can be doing that all at the same time. There are two ways to set up the molecular assemblers. This is where things get made. If you look here, you can see here is the piston pattern that I put in. I can also take it out here, or I can put it back in. So there's the two type of ME interfaces. There's the flat type, and those would go, as you can see, I could put one on the front here too, but I wanted to be able to see in. So you can, for one molecular assembler, this guy, the way I have it set up, can handle 9 times 4 patterns. So what's that, 36 patterns? Can all be processed in here, but obviously only one at a time. So to me, this is the kind of setup I would probably want to use for an end product. So like a chicken curry. The last step to make the chicken curry, I would put that pattern in this one. But the one that does all the parts, I would probably put over here into this ME interface that I have to go around back to get into. So you see here, the one I put in here, things that go towards making a final product, but are not the final product themselves. And that's because you're more than likely to be wanting to do more than one of these at a time. And because I have 5 molecular assemblers all attached to this interface, it could be doing 5 different things all at once, or 5 different iterations of the same operation. So it could be making 5 pistons all at the same time. So it works in parallel. So that's pretty cool. And that's what you need actually coprocessors for, is if you want the CPU here to do more than one operation at a time, you need to add crafting coprocessors in order for it to do that, as long as your molecular assembly chambers are set up in such a way to allow it. And I think this setup I have here will allow it. I won't really know until I start putting it to the test, because this is the very first time I've actually set an AE2 system up for crafting. So we'll see how well it does. I might decide this is all garbage and start over from scratch again. I don't know, but this is my current thoughts on the subject. Okay, so there's one other thing I wanted to mention about it, because I thought this was pretty cool when I saw it. Let's see, we're going to ask it to make us... We want to make some pistons. So we come over here and let's find the pistons. Oh, we have some in stock. Well, let's pretend we had none in stock. We want to make some pistons. Let's make me 20 pistons. Now, if you notice up here, it says 268 bytes used. And if you looked at each one of my CPUs, I set up 2 of them. Each one of them has a 4K CPU unit in it, or 2 4K, obviously adding up to 8,192 bytes. So as long as this number is less than this number, this CPU can handle this project. If this was bigger, then these crafting CPUs wouldn't even be available because they didn't have the processing power to handle that particular project. But in this case, this one does does have the processing ability, and I can just say start, and it's just going to start making them for me. In fact, they'll probably be... Oh, there it comes. You can see it's coming through. And yes, as Hikar said, when I was in there, you can see that you can have, you can tell it which CPU to use, which I didn't. I just let it do automatic, but you can tell it which one to use, so you can make sure that a certain one is free because you need it for something. But anyway, that's my first foray into the AE2 crafting computer system. And hopefully I made a little bit of sense there. Once I have a really good grasp on it, I might do a proper sort of highlight on how I have my system set up when it's a little more advanced looking than what I've got right now. But I'm very excited about it. I think I don't agree with all the things that they've done with the AE2 system, like the changes that they've made. Some of them I really like. Some of them I'm kind of, not so keen on them. But overall, I do like it. I do like it a lot. Let's see. Yes, I think, whoop, that's not what I meant to do. I think that's all I had to talk to you about today, that I did today. I'm pretty sure I've already covered what I did over here. I think I did that last one. Yes, I did, because I've had these for a whole day now, and it's still working. Oops. My CPU is having issues. Speaking of computers and CPUs. Alright, in any case, I think this is where I'll end it. I hope you guys enjoyed this tour, and with luck I'll have something interesting to show tomorrow as well. We'll see how it goes. In any case, you all have a good night, and I'll see you later. Bye!